Alright guys, in my Catalina t-shirt. Total casual approach here, which is hilarious given what I'm about to talk about. So, I was doing my taxes today, which when your only job is making videos on Patreon is the biggest pain that I've had to deal with in a really long time. um, it really is. It's this monumental thing. It's mostly because tax law doesn't actually cover what Patreon does. This is one of those things where law doesn't actually apply to new things because those new things didn't exist when the law was written. So anyways, I'm not here to complain about that, but really, it really got me thinking about something. I want to give you guys a little bit of backstory for those of you who care. Last year, right around March, April, May, something like that, whenever I moved, I was still looking for a job, a 9-to-5, as it's called. Now, I'm going to just go ahead and put this out there. A lot of people tend to have this opinion that the 9-to-5 is the only thing that is a real job. Now, I disagree with that fundamentally and have for many, many years. But at the same time, I'm more than willing to swallow my pride and my sanity and my dignity and my health if it means providing for other people. It means not being a burden to other people, right? So I went out, put a lot of effort, put a lot of work into getting a job, and utterly and completely failed miserably. That was actually quite a bummer, all things considered. I'm not going to go into details, it doesn't matter. I failed. So rather than let that get me down, what I decided to do was rebuckle my efforts and really push for the show. I don't know if anybody actually noticed, but I really started focusing on the show a lot more about halfway through last year. In the latter half of 2014, I was just pushing and pushing. I wanted the show to be better. I wanted higher production values. I wanted to give more value to my viewers, you know, all that kind of thing. And I really wanted to push the Patreon thing so that I can pay the bills and be self-subsistent, which I'm still not actually at the point of. I still require a roommate. I still can't, you know, support myself completely on my own. But I'm getting there, and it's great, and I owe it to all of you. So first of all, thank you very much, all of you, my patrons, who has made this a reality for me. I appreciate it tremendously. The thing is, up until today, it has never really clicked with me that I need to actually be treating this as a business. Now, don't mistake me. I don't mean like, you know, bottom line and marketing analyses and, you know, all that other bullcrap that I talk evil about all the time. What I mean is, this is my business. Something I care about, something that is my livelihood. In the same way that, well, to put it bluntly, a shepherd cares for his flock. I need to look at this as a business and start treating it as one. And I haven't been, to be completely honest with you. In actual fact, when I went to talk to a tax specialist today, one of the first things she says is, well, what sounds like what you're doing is a hobby. You're just making too much money to legally qualify as a hobby. And I'm like, well, yeah. So, with that being in mind, there's something big that needs to change. I'm just going to toss it out there. Arshian Gaia needs to be rebranded. Here's the thing. I actually know a decent amount about marketing and business and overall. I wouldn't call myself an expert by any means, but I know some things about it. And I know one thing that you want when it comes to a company name or a brand name or a show name is three things, okay? It needs to be easy to type / spell, it needs to be easy to remember, and it needs to be informative. And this last one is generally considered to be the most important, at least by my school of thought on the matter. So, Arshian Gaia is none of these. Now, I don't really have a show name per se. Arshian Gaia's Ruminations is the closest thing I have to a show name. So yeah, I need to be rebranded. I've been spending most of today as I've been running around doing errands and whatnot, trying to think of different things that I could be rebranded to. And of course, I wanted to be open and honest with you guys about this thing. I'm hopeful that the transition won't be too bad. I'm pretty sure that I can go and actually physically get my YouTube changed from Arshian Gaia to whatever the new thing is. Might have to make a new Twitch account. Not really enthused about that, but whatever. Probably will have to make a new Twitter. Probably will have to make a new Facebook, etc. YouTube's the big one, obviously, and so is Patreon. But Patreon's also going to be pretty easy to do. I've already talked to a couple people there. So that just leaves us with the million-dollar question. What do I rebrand it to? Because I really don't want a situation where I pull what Sci-Fi did. Oh, excuse me. What Sci-Fi did. So, like I said, easy to remember, easy to type, informative. Now, I've had a few dozen thoughts. There's two schools of thoughts here, which I'm going to go ahead and share with you. Number one is to make your show name the same as your moniker. Pro Jared, Gassy Mexican, I swear I had another example to give you. Oh yeah, Total Biscuit. These are Angry Joe. These are examples of people who use their moniker, like Arshingaya, as their show name. So that's a possibility. Just come up with a new moniker that's a little easier to type. Which, I'm sorry, I got to share this really quick. You might be wondering, well, Arshingaya isn't too hard to type. Well, the thing is, I tend to have that mentality, and I know that is a flawed mentality when I actually analyze it, because I've been using the moniker of Arshingaya for over 20 years now. It's one of my original names I came up with, and I'm a little used to it. My sister, still to this day, or rather to like a week ago, has to ask me, how do you spell that? One time during one of the AGDQs, last year's, not this year's, we actually got a donation read. And the guy tried, God bless him, to pronounce it. He actually did better than most people did. He called it Arkengia. But to continue my thought here for a moment, think about this for just a second. Think about word of mouth, which is the single best marketing strategy that has ever existed. Let's say you tell your friend, you should go check out Arshingaya. Now let's say that guy goes and tries to check out Arshingaya. What do you think he's going to type into Google with that word? Let's say he gets it typed out to him. Now, he doesn't write it down or anything, because, most people don't do that. It's just an idle, yeah, check this guy out. And he goes to type it out, and he has no idea how it was spelled because he only saw it once. And you see how this becomes a problem. That's the other, there's two other reasons this has come up lately. But anyways, I digress. So, I can use the moniker as the show name, or I can come up with a show name that has to do with it. For example, the Gymquisition, Zero Punctuation, Game Theory, is another example of this. 8-bit philosophy. In other words, come up with a show name and start using that as the thing rather than, and then it could be like Arshingaya's 8-bit theory or whatever, and I could just keep the Arshingaya moniker, or change it to just Arsh. Or I could just start going by Magus, because that's my freaking name. So let's talk about suggestions. I'm going to discuss this with a lot of different people before I make this. This is not something I'm doing idly or lightly, so I'm going to get a lot of buy-in before I move forward with this. But some ideas I've had, I could just call it the Ruminations or Geek Ruminations. The only thing I'm hesitant about Geek Ruminations is, and it's kind of the problem I've always had with the term Ruminations, it's very informative, but it almost sounds like I'm trying to be pretentious, and I don't want to give that image. I don't want people to think that I'm being pretentious. If anybody out there thinks I'm genuinely pretentious, feel free to tell me. That is discouraging, but, I'd rather have the truth than anything else. The camera is offset, so we're going to fix that real quick. There we go. I could just call it a number of other things. I've come up with a lot of ideas that I also couldn't use because they also don't qualify. For example, the Magus-san thing, for example. I thought about just calling it The Bastion, but there's too many other things called The Bastion, namely a video game, which was way more popular than me. The Imperium, again, a little too generic. The Mad Nations, that's not going to work. And also isn't indicative of what I do. I thought about using the word analysis in some way. I do kind of like the idea of keeping the word rumination, and indeed, Geek Ruminations is so far the idea I like the most of the various ideas I come up with, or Magus's Ruminations, or Geek Ruminations by Magus, something like that. I was thinking about doing something along the lines of, geek culture, something like that, or geek subculture or something along the lines. I don't know. Or maybe nerd culture if you prefer. I usually prefer the term geek because by my own definition geek is a compliment, whereas nerd is a detriment. But I don't know. There's tons of ideas I've had. I don't want to share all of them with you, especially since I can't remember some of them. The only one that's really stuck in my head is Geek Ruminations. Not really putting the nail on the head with that. It's just the only one that's really stuck with me. You might be asking why I'm even telling you this. Well, obviously there's a courtesy factor involved, but as I've said many times, this is your show too, and you guys are the reason why I can do this show. And again, thank you. So, kind of wanted to let you guys have your own say and whatnot. So, let me know if you have any thoughts. Otherwise, I will see you at the next insert name here.